Coaching is an essential skill set for any manager and leader. It's so valuable. It engages your team and empowers them. But many don't use it often enough or just don't feel that confident doing it. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the GROW coaching framework, which will help you navigate any coaching conversation. And I'm also going to share with you some questions and examples to help you so you can get started quickly. Coaching conversations help people learn for themselves, and they can explore problems and opportunities at their own pace in their own way, which in turn helps them commit to their own action plan, and as a consequence, they will just learn faster. And GROW is a framework that helps you navigate that conversation with your team. Master this and you will be so valued by your team, and you also find out how empowering it is to empower others. My name is Helen Bryant. I am a management and leadership trainer and coach, and I am on a mission to help managers everywhere to thrive in their roles, lead better, and create a better workplace for all. Getting people to learn for themselves, to come up with their own ideas, is so valuable because it improves accountability. So you may have the best idea in the world. It's 100% idea. You've got lots of expertise. You know it will work. And it is easy as a manager, especially if time pressed, to just tell people what it is that you think they should do. If you perhaps ask them and they come up with an idea, it does take longer. And that idea might be 60 or 70% of your idea, but it would work. And because that person's come up with that idea themselves, and because they feel so much more ownership, what you will often find is they will just go for it so much more. And they could deliver that to 70, 80, 90, even 100% of your original idea, maybe even more. In fact, I've often been surprised by what people have achieved when you've empowered them and said, yeah, that sounds like a great plan. Have a go and come back to me afterwards and let's then we'll review it. And that's a lot about what coaching is about. The challenge I see when I'm coaching and training in this, that at the start, is that we jump to giving that guidance, getting people to the 100% idea and telling them what we should think that they should do. And we just do it way too quickly. And I know you want to help your team and you think you can help them get there faster and you have this expertise. I get all that. But in not helping your team explore their challenges in their way, you can often miss what is truly holding them back or what the true nature of the challenge is for them. To get to this valuable position with our team, we have to rewire our brain so that we stay asking great coaching questions and listening to what they say. And so we can guide the conversation for them and not for ourselves. And this is where GROW comes into it. It just gives us that structure to follow. GROW stands for goal, reality, options, and will. The goal is finding out what the person wants to achieve. Reality is finding out where they are right now and what is the gap to achieving that goal. The options helps the person explore what they could do to get there. And will is the commitment step, and it defines what they will actually do. So your job when coaching is to ask questions and listen really hard to what the person is saying so that you can guide the conversation and help them work through that personal challenge themselves. At the end of each stage of GROW, I find a really effective technique is to summarize what you have just heard and check you have understood correctly. It's very powerful because if you summarize back the important points, not everything they've said, for the person, they feel heard. So this also improves the trust between you. But this is a powerful step and acts like a bridge to the next stage and helps to keep the conversation on track. So should we go through it? Let's go through each step, and I'm going to share questions that you could use to make this work for you. Let's start with goal. Now, this is all about bringing to life the outcome that the person wants. You need to have a mutual view of the topic and what good looks like for your team member. Now, you can start with questions like, what would you want to focus on, or what do you want to achieve in the next 12 months, or what would make this a great quarter for you? These are very open questions that allow the person to just come up with a topic themselves. Or it might be that you've already identified something between you that the person knows they've got to get better at. For example, like presenting, or a specific skill that they need to do very well in their role. So again, they describe what good would be to do those tasks. And what you need to do when defining this goal is dig down a bit, find out why it is important for them. What would they feel like if they achieved this goal, so that you get deeper into the person's motivation. Really importantly, help the person make their goals specific, especially if they're saying things like, I'd like to get better at. And I find people say this so often, it's just too vague. So you want to help them really bring that picture of success to life. Questions that can help here include, how could you make your goal clearer? How will you know you've achieved your goal? Or perhaps describe for me what you will be doing when you can do this well. And then help them make that goal as specific as possible. Remember, all you're doing is asking questions and listening to the responses and guiding the conversation. You've discussed the goal. Remember to use your check step, just summarize, and then move on to the next step, the reality. So reality is all about understanding where they are now and what the gap is to achieving that goal they've just described. Now, questions that help here include, for example, what steps have you taken to achieve this so far? What do you already do well? What are the issues that you're currently facing? Maybe what's working for you now, or what's not working for you now. Another good one is, who do you see doing this really well and why? Or scoring. If you were scoring yourself out of a 10 against achieving this goal now, what would you score yourself? And this really gives you a perspective of how big that person sees the gap that they have before them. One of the things you might want to think of doing here is digging down to find out if it's an issue of skill, they don't know how to do this yet, or it is a question of will and confidence. These are very different situations. So if we take presentations, the needs of someone who doesn't know how to structure a presentation are very different to someone who completely knows how to do it, but they lack confidence in delivering a presentation. So ask those questions so you get a really good understanding. Questions here that could help you include, is there anything holding you back? Or if you could wave a magic wand to move forward, what would it give you? You could ask what worries you about this goal, or what excites you about this goal. And you can also ask, how will you reward yourself when you achieve this goal? Remember, you're asking questions, you're listening, and then use the summary check step before moving on to the next step of options. Now at options, this is really important that you don't tell the answer from your point of view. This is so important to stay asking the questions to help the person explore what they choose to do or could do. Again, here are some example questions to help you. What could you do? What options do you face moving forward? How are you going to achieve this? What could you do right now? What is the upside of doing this? And what is the downside of doing this? Maybe refer to past experience. Have you tried anything like this in the past? And don't forget who. Who could help you do this? Who do they have around them that may be able to help them do this task better? Another good question to ask is, what don't you know? And help them define exactly what is the knowledge or skill or experience they need to build up in order to address this gap or development need. As they explore the options, it's also good to bring it down into what next? How long will this take you? And when are you going to start? So the choices are starting to come to life. And then obviously it's, which of these are you going to do? Make sure you explore the options and question. And here, a really good question is, anything else? So that you don't just explore one option, that you do consider other alternatives of how they may go about doing it. Now, what if they haven't mentioned an action or something that you know would help them, and that's because they've not learnt it yet or had experience of it? So remember, we don't want to fall into the trap of just taking over and telling them what to do. So if you're going to offer advice, ask if you could share some advice. Don't just tell them, otherwise you're just going to take that ownership away from them. Remember, you've got the power here, and it's really easy for the person just to defer to your plan and what you think, and it's really easy for you to go into a lot of detail on what they should do. So ask if you can give them advice, and then share it at the top line, and then ask them what they think about it and how do they think that could help them, and then ask questions that allow them to flesh out how they would actually do this. You see how this just can really maintain ownership with the individual and not taking it back to you. Again, use the summary check step before moving on to the next step so that you keep maintaining that level of alignment as you're going through the conversation. Now, the will step is all about committing to the plan they have described. So which bits of all these things they could do are they actually going to do? So questions that can help here include: how confident are you about doing this? What support will you need to make this happen? What resources do you need to make this happen? What support will you need from me? And be really clear in giving them the power to say what help they want from you and then following their plan. And another good question to ask is: how will you keep yourself going when you do this? What you're doing at this stage is really checking for will and commitment, and that the plan is doable, making sure that of all the options, it comes down into a really clear plan of what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and what support they'll need from you or other people. And at that point, they should feel confident and ready to go, and you're going to have clarity about what they're going to do and your involvement in it. Now, the best way for you as a manager to get going on this is to practice. I always say it's in the practice where the magic happens. If you want to be a better manager, focusing on this in the coming quarter could be a way to accelerate your skill set. And if I were you, this is what I would recommend you do. So do it in your one-to-ones. Now, there are resources for how to make your one-to-ones the absolute best linked below. They're such an important moment to coach and mentor your team. So getting it right makes such a difference. You will discover the questions that work for you, and you will get better at listening and guiding the conversation. Remember, the magic happens in the doing. Okay, that's where you're going to learn most. And it might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I promise you that's because you're out of your comfort zone and you're heightened and learning the most. So practice, 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 and give yourself that time frame, 12 weeks. If you do it a lot, you will be amazed at how your skills grow on this valuable skill set. Okay. So if you have any questions about putting this into practice, you can put them in the comments below, or you can reach out to me on social. You can DM me there. If you have found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you will get notified of each and every video that I release. I really appreciate the like and subscribe because that helps other managers like you find this channel and the resources I share. Okay, that's it for this video. Until next time, take care.